What if investing less than the cost of a takeout meal today could be the difference between thriving and barely surviving 6 months from now? Imagine this scenario. A year from today, you're standing in line at the grocery store, watching people fight over the last bag of rice while prices have skyrocketed to levels you never thought possible. Eggs at $20 a dozen, bread rationed to one loaf per family, and your bank card declined because the system's overloaded. Now picture yourself walking past that chaos, completely calm because you spent less than $50 on 9 overlooked essentials that everyone else ignored. I'm Shah, and since 2016, I've been tracking economic instability patterns and preparing for worst-case scenarios. Here's what the mainstream media won't tell you straight. When infrastructure fails, and history shows us it always does eventually, it's never the expensive tactical gear that determines who makes it through. Forget those $800 freeze-dried meal kits, the fancy communications equipment, or the overpriced survival gadgets that preppers obsess over. Those are just expensive distractions. What actually matters are the basic, dirt-cheap fundamentals that most people walk past every single day. Items usually under $15 that become absolutely priceless when society starts unraveling. Think I'm exaggerating? Look at what happened in late 2023. A simple logistics breakdown caused basic items like lighters, plastic sheeting, and hand tools to completely vanish from stores nationwide within 72 hours. Prices quadrupled overnight. The people who had stocked up, they were comfortable. Everyone else, pure panic mode. Here's what nobody wants to acknowledge. Our modern economy is built on a razor-thin margin of stability. Currency devaluation is accelerating, distribution networks are fragile, and economic analysts are projecting an 89% probability of a major financial disruption hitting before mid-2026. When the warning signs start flashing red, it won't be the luxury items that disappear first. It'll be the mundane, everyday necessities that you never gave a second thought to. So today, I'm revealing 9 insanely cheap items you need to secure right now while they're still available and affordable. These are the things that'll keep you safe, functional, and rational when everyone around you is losing their minds. And trust me, number 9 is something you'll regret ignoring until it's too late. Let's get started. 1. The matchbox that never fails. Disposable lighters in bulk. Everyone talks about having matches or fancy fire-starting kits, but here's what seasoned preppers actually stock up on. Disposable lighters. Lots of them, and I mean bulk quantities. Because when you need fire fast, repeatedly, and reliably, nothing beats the simplicity of a basic Bic lighter. Here's the reality check. Fire-making skills are great to have, but in a real emergency, you don't want to spend 20 minutes rubbing sticks together or struggling with flint and steel when you need heat now. A lighter gives you instant fire, hundreds of times, for literally pennies per unit. Think about this situation. The grid's been down for 3 days. Temperatures are dropping below freezing. You need to boil water, cook food, and keep warm all within the next hour. Are you really going to waste energy trying to create friction fire? Or are you going to flick a lighter and have flames in 2 seconds? You can grab a 50-pack of disposable lighters for around $15 to $20 online. That's roughly 30 to 40 cents per lighter. Each one gives you hundreds of lights before it dries out. Do the math. That's thousands of fire-starting opportunities for less than a dinner out. Survival forums consistently rank bulk lighters as one of the smartest budget prep investments you can make. Here's why this is non-negotiable. Lighters are compact, waterproof, mostly, and work in conditions where matches would be useless. They don't require skill, training, or perfect conditions. Anyone in your household can use one, from teenagers to grandparents. That's accessibility that matters in chaos. But here's the critical part most people miss. Don't just buy a pack and toss them in a drawer. Distribute them strategically. Keep 5 in your vehicle, 10 in your bug-out bag, 20 in your home emergency supplies, and scatter the rest in jacket pockets, toolkits, and camping gear. When you need fire, you need it now, not after digging through boxes trying to remember where you put your fire-starting supplies. Pro tip: store lighters in sealed plastic bags away from extreme heat to extend their shelf life. And here's a survival hack most people don't know. Even when a lighter runs out of fluid, you can still use the spark to ignite tinder if you're prepared. That means the value doesn't stop when the fuel does.
Bottom line, bulk lighters are cheap, foolproof, and absolutely essential. Don't overthink fire starting. Stock up on lighters now, and you'll have reliable ignition when everyone else is struggling in the cold. And speaking of things that keep you alive when temperatures drop, the next item on this list is criminally underrated. 2. The insulation revolution, contractor-grade plastic sheeting. When disaster strikes, one of the first things to fail is climate control. Power goes out, heating systems die, and suddenly your home becomes a freezer. That's when contractor-grade plastic sheeting becomes worth more than gold. This isn't the flimsy stuff from craft stores. I'm talking about thick, durable 6mm plastic sheeting that can seal windows, patch roofs, create emergency shelters, and retain heat like you wouldn't believe. You can pick up a 10 by 25-foot roll for around $12 to $18 at any hardware store. That's 250 square feet of versatile protection for less than a tank of gas. And it's not just about warmth. This stuff is a multi-purpose survival MVP. Here's the scenario most people don't prepare for. A winter storm knocks out power. Your home starts losing heat rapidly. Within hours, indoor temperatures match the freezing conditions outside. But if you've got plastic sheeting, you can seal off one room, trap body heat, and create a survivable microclimate while everyone else is bundling under every blanket they own and still freezing. Tape plastic over windows to stop drafts. Layer it inside walls for instant insulation. Hang it from ceilings to divide large spaces into smaller, easier-to-heat zones. Use it to patch damaged roofing before water destroys your ceiling. The applications are endless. But here's what makes this truly valuable. During supply chain collapses, building materials vanish instantly. When hurricanes hit in 2024, plastic sheeting and tarps were sold out for weeks across entire regions. Hardware stores couldn't restock fast enough. People were paying triple the normal price just to find basic protection. Those who already had it stashed, they were weathering the storm comfortably, while their neighbors were scrambling to find basic protection. Here's the catch you need to know. Not all plastic sheeting is created equal. That thin 1mm or 2mm stuff tears at the slightest pressure. You want contractor-grade 6mm minimum. It's thick enough to handle abuse, weather-resistant, and can be reused multiple times if you're careful. Spend the extra $2 per roll. It matters. Pro tip: buy multiple rolls and store them flat in a cool, dry place. Plastic degrades faster when exposed to heat or sunlight. And grab a few rolls of heavy-duty packing tape specifically for securing plastic. Duct tape works, but professional construction tape creates better seals for temperature control. Here's another genius use nobody talks about. In a collapse scenario, plastic sheeting can create makeshift greenhouses to extend growing seasons or protect fragile plants. That means fresh food when everyone else is eating expired canned goods. Bottom line, plastic sheeting is cheap, lightweight, and solves dozens of survival problems. From insulation to shelter to weatherproofing, it's an absolute essential that most people completely overlook. Don't wait until storms are forecasted and shelves are empty. Stock up now. And while we're talking about protection, the next item is about safeguarding something even more critical: your water supply. 3. The Water Guardian, 5-gallon food-grade buckets with lids. Clean water storage is survival 101, but most people do it wrong. They buy expensive water containers or rely solely on bottled water that expires and takes up massive space. Smart preppers, though, they grab food-grade 5-gallon buckets with sealed lids. These simple containers are usually $5 to $8 each, stackable, durable, and can safely store water for months when properly treated. Here's why this matters. Water is life, but it's also heavy and finite. A 5-gallon bucket holds 40 pounds of water. That's enough drinking water for one person for roughly 5 days in normal conditions, or 2 to 3 days during physical stress. 4 buckets per person gives you a 20-day emergency supply for under $40. But here's the genius part. These buckets aren't just for water. They're multi-use survival tools. Store dried goods like rice, beans, or flour. Use them as makeshift toilets when sewage systems fail. Create emergency washing stations. Build simple filtration systems. Transport supplies. Even use them as stools or step platforms. One investment, endless applications. Let's talk real-world scenarios. In 2024, several cities experienced water main breaks that left thousands without running water for over a week. Stores sold out of bottled water within hours, but people with bucket storage systems, they had clean water immediately. No panic, no lines, no problem.
Here's what you need to know about using buckets properly. First, make sure they're food grade. Look for the recycling symbol with a 2 inside and HDPE marked on the bottom. Non-food grade plastics can leach chemicals into water over time. Second, clean them thoroughly before first use. Third, treat stored water with water preservation drops or regular rotation to prevent bacterial growth. Pro tip, mark each bucket with the date you filled it and contents using permanent marker or labels. Create a rotation system where you use and refill the oldest buckets every 6 to 12 months. This keeps your supply fresh and ensures the buckets stay functional. And here's a storage hack. Stack buckets in closets, under beds, or in corners of rooms. They're designed to stack securely so they don't take up excessive floor space. Some preppers even build benches or tables using stacked buckets as supports, hiding storage in plain sight. Here's the mistake people make. They assume they can just fill buckets during an emergency. Wrong. When disaster warnings hit, water pressure drops as everyone fills containers simultaneously. Sometimes water gets shut off entirely without warning. If your buckets aren't pre-filled, you're already too late. Bottom line, food-grade buckets are cheap, versatile, and essential for water security. They're also perfect for storing bulk dry goods, creating sanitation systems, and dozens of other survival applications. For under $50, you can have enough water storage to keep your family hydrated through extended emergencies. Next up, we're talking about something that separates prepared people from desperate people. Lighting that works when everything else fails. 4. The light that lasts. Rechargeable LED lanterns with solar capability. When the power dies, darkness becomes dangerous. You can't see threats, navigate safely, or work effectively. That's why rechargeable LED lanterns with solar charging capability are absolute game changers. For $12 to $18, you can get a compact lantern that charges in sunlight, runs for hours, and eliminates battery dependency completely. Here's the problem with traditional emergency lighting. Flashlights eat batteries. Candles are fire hazards. Gas lanterns require fuel that runs out. But a solar rechargeable LED lantern, it charges during the day and gives you reliable light all night indefinitely. That's energy independence in your hand. Think about this. Grid's down for 2 weeks. Your neighborhood is pitch black at night. Everyone else burned through their battery supplies in 3 days. But you're setting your lanterns outside each morning, charging them in the sun, and enjoying bright, safe light every single night. That's not just comfort, that's security. These lanterns typically provide 12 to 20 hours of light on a full charge. Place them on windowsills during the day to charge via solar panels, or use the built-in USB ports to charge from power banks or car batteries when sunlight isn't available. Most models have multiple brightness settings so you can conserve power or flood an entire room with light depending on your needs. Here's what makes these especially valuable: psychological comfort. Darkness creates fear and anxiety. Having reliable light improves morale, reduces accidents, and makes everyone feel safer. That mental edge matters in extended crises when stress is already maxed out. But here's the catch: cheap models fail fast. Look for lanterns with solid reviews, durable construction, and actual solar charging capability, not just solar-compatible marketing nonsense. Spend the extra $5 for quality. When you're depending on light for safety, you can't afford equipment that dies when you need it most. Pro tip: buy at least 3 lanterns. Keep one in your main living space, one in your bedroom, and one in your bug-out kit. Test them monthly to ensure solar panels and batteries are still functioning.
And here's a smart move. Use them regularly, not just for emergencies. This keeps batteries conditioned and ensures you're familiar with their operation. And here's another application most people miss. These lanterns make excellent bartering items. In a prolonged outage, people will trade valuable supplies for reliable light. Having extras means you have currency when traditional money becomes worthless. Bottom line, solar rechargeable lanterns give you infinite light without fuel or battery dependence. They're affordable, reliable, and provide both practical illumination and psychological comfort. Don't get caught in the dark. Stock up now while they're still cheap and available. And speaking of things that run out fast, the next item is something people don't think about until it's too late. 5. The hygiene hero. Industrial-size hand sanitizer and disinfectant.
When sanitation systems collapse, disease spreads fast. That's not fear-mongering, it's historical fact. Every major disaster sees a spike in illness because people can't maintain basic hygiene. That's why industrial-sized containers of hand sanitizer and disinfectant are critical survival items. You can grab gallon jugs of sanitizer for $15 to $25, and that single container can protect your family for months. Here's the reality nobody wants to discuss. When water becomes scarce, washing hands properly becomes a luxury you can't afford. But germs, bacteria, and viruses don't care about your water situation. Hand sanitizer gives you infection prevention without using precious water resources. That's life-saving efficiency. Think about daily survival tasks in a crisis. Handling trash, treating injuries, preparing food, dealing with waste. All of these expose you to pathogens. Without proper disinfection, simple cuts become infected, stomach bugs spread through families, and minor illnesses become serious threats. A few ounces of hand sanitizer after each task, that's the difference between staying healthy and getting sick when medical help isn't available. Here's what happened during COVID that most people have already forgotten. Hand sanitizer vanished from stores for months. When it finally returned, prices had tripled. Small 8-ounce bottles were selling for $15 to $20. People who bought industrial quantities before the panic, they stayed protected and even had extra to share or trade. But it's not just about hand sanitizer. Disinfectant sprays and wipes are equally critical. You need to sanitize surfaces, tools, dishes, and living spaces to prevent disease transmission. When you can't rely on hot water and soap, chemical disinfection becomes your primary defense. Pro tip: buy the concentrated versions when possible. A gallon of concentrated disinfectant that you dilute with water gives you multiple gallons of usable solution. That's more bang for your buck and easier storage. Just make sure you have spray bottles and clearly labeled dilution ratios. Here's the storage key. Keep sanitizer and disinfectants in cool, dark places, away from heat sources. Alcohol-based sanitizers are flammable, so never store them near potential ignition sources. And rotate your stock, using and replacing the oldest containers first to ensure effectiveness. Here's a survival hack most people don't know. Hand sanitizer has multiple uses beyond sanitation. It's flammable, so it can help start fires in wet conditions. It can clean adhesive residue. It can even be used for minor wound care in emergencies. Multi-purpose items are gold in survival situations. Bottom line, industrial quantities of hand sanitizer and disinfectant are cheap insurance against disease when sanitation infrastructure fails. They protect your health without consuming water, they're portable, and they have extended shelf lives. Don't wait until the next pandemic or disaster to realize how valuable these are. Stock up now. Next, we're talking about something that seems basic but becomes absolutely critical when supply chains break. Basic medication. 6. The medicine cabinet essential. Over-the-counter medication stockpile. Pain relievers, antidiarrheals, antihistamines, and basic first aid medications. These over-the-counter drugs are so common that people assume they'll always be available. Wrong. When supply chains get disrupted, pharmacies run dry within days, and suddenly a simple headache or allergic reaction becomes a serious problem. That's why building an OTC medication stockpile is essential, and you can do it for under $50. Here's what you need: ibuprofen or acetaminophen for pain and fever, anti-diarrheal medication, antihistamines for allergies, antacids, cough and cold medicine, and basic wound care supplies like antibiotic ointment. Generic brands work just as well as name brands, but cost a fraction of the price. A well-rounded medicine kit covering all these basics runs about $40 to $60 depending on quantities. Let's talk about why this matters more than people realize. In a crisis, stress increases, sleep decreases, nutrition suffers. That means headaches, stomach issues, and minor illnesses spike. Without basic medication, these small problems become major distractions or even debilitating conditions. A simple fever that you'd normally knock out with ibuprofen becomes a multi-day ordeal that saps your energy and ability to function. Here's the scenario. You're 2 weeks into a grid-down situation. Someone in your household develops a severe headache from dehydration and stress. Without pain relief, they're miserable, unable to help with tasks, and potentially at risk of worsening symptoms. 2 tablets of ibuprofen, problem solved in 30 minutes. That's the difference OTC meds make. But here's what happened during recent crises that proves this point.
During COVID, not only was toilet paper gone, but cold medicine, pain relievers, and basic medical supplies were wiped out for weeks. Even when stores restocked, purchase limits meant you couldn't buy enough to build a proper reserve. People with existing stockpiles, they weathered illness without panic or scarcity. Here's the critical strategy. Buy generic, buy in bulk, and rotate your stock. Check expiration dates every 6 months and use medications approaching expiration in your daily life, replacing them with fresh stock. This keeps your emergency supply current without waste. Pro tip: create a medication inventory list with expiration dates. Store medications in a cool, dry, dark place to maximize shelf life. And separate your emergency stockpile from daily use medications so you're not accidentally depleting your reserves. Here's what many people don't know. Most medications remain effective well past their printed expiration dates, especially when stored properly. A Department of Defense study found that 90% of medications were still effective 15 years past expiration. I'm not recommending you use expired meds, but in a true emergency, knowing this could be valuable. And here's another angle. Medication becomes valuable currency. In a prolonged crisis, people will trade significant resources for pain relief or medicine for sick family members. Having extras means you can help others or barter when needed. Bottom line, OTC medications are cheap, essential, and impossible to improvise. You can't make aspirin from tree bark in your backyard. Stock up now while they're available and affordable, and you'll handle minor medical issues without the panic and vulnerability that comes with having nothing. Speaking of things you can't improvise, the next item is about preserving your food supply when refrigeration fails. 7. The food preserver: bulk salt and vacuum seal bags. When the power goes out, your refrigerator becomes a useless box, and fresh food starts rotting within days. That's when food preservation knowledge becomes critical. 2 of the cheapest and most effective preservation tools: bulk salt and vacuum seal bags. For under $30, you can grab a 25-pound bag of salt and a box of vacuum seal bags that'll let you preserve meat, vegetables, and other foods for months without electricity. Here's why this matters. Salt is humanity's oldest preservation method, and it still works perfectly. It draws moisture out of food, preventing bacterial growth that causes spoilage. Vacuum sealing removes air, which is another key factor in food degradation. Combined, these 2 methods can extend the life of perishables dramatically, even without refrigeration. Let's break down the applications. Meat can be salt-cured and vacuum-sealed to last for weeks at room temperature. Vegetables can be pickled using salt brine. Bulk dry goods can be vacuum-sealed to prevent moisture, pests, and oxidation. Fish can be preserved using traditional salting techniques. These aren't theoretical methods, these are proven strategies that kept people alive for centuries before refrigeration existed. Here's the reality check. When the grid fails, everyone loses their refrigerated and frozen foods within 72 hours. That's hundreds of dollars of groceries gone, plus a massive nutritional hit. But if you know preservation techniques and have the supplies on hand, you can salvage and extend the life of food that would otherwise be lost. A 25-pound bag of salt costs $8 to $12 and provides enough preservative for months of food storage. Vacuum seal bags in bulk, 100-count boxes, run about $15 to $20. That's minimal investment for maximum food security. But here's the catch. You need to practice these techniques before you need them. Curing meat isn't something you want to figure out during an emergency. Experiment now with small batches. Learn the salt-to-meat ratios. Understand how long different foods last under various preservation methods. Knowledge is just as important as having the supplies. Pro tip: store salt in airtight containers to prevent clumping from humidity. Keep vacuum seal bags in their original packaging until use to maintain freshness. And invest in a manual vacuum sealer if possible. Electric ones are useless without power, but manual pump sealers work indefinitely. And here's another critical use for bulk salt that most people don't consider: sanitation and hygiene. Salt can be used to clean dishes, disinfect surfaces, even improve dental hygiene when other options aren't available. It's one of the most versatile survival substances you can stockpile. And here's a food security tip. Vacuum-sealed dry goods like rice, beans, pasta, and flour have shelf lives measured in years, not months. Protect your bulk food investments from moisture and pests by vacuum sealing them immediately after purchase.
Bottom line, salt and vacuum seal bags give you food preservation capabilities that don't require power or refrigeration. They're cheap, they work, and they're essential knowledge that separates prepared people from those who lose their entire food supply when the lights go out. Next up, we're talking about a tool that solves one of the most overlooked problems in emergencies: waste management. 8. The sanitation solution: heavy-duty trash bags and contractor bags. Nobody wants to talk about waste management, but it's one of the first problems you'll face when infrastructure fails. Toilets stop working, garbage pickup disappears, and suddenly you're dealing with hygiene and sanitation challenges that can create serious health risks. That's why heavy-duty trash bags and contractor bags are critical survival items. A box of 50 contractor bags costs $15 to $20, and they solve problems that most people don't even realize they'll have. Here's the situation everyone ignores until it's too late. Sewage systems fail. Toilets become unusable. Now what? You need a waste disposal system immediately, and the answer is bucket toilets lined with heavy-duty bags. It's not glamorous, but it works, and it keeps your living space sanitary when nothing else will. But waste management is just the beginning. These bags have dozens of critical applications: waterproofing gear and supplies, creating emergency rain shelters, storing contaminated materials, collecting and transporting water, protecting items from moisture and pests, disposing of spoiled food safely. The applications are endless. Here's what happened during hurricane situations that proves this point. Sanitation services were disrupted for weeks. People without proper waste disposal solutions faced overflowing trash, pest infestations, and serious health hazards. Those with contractor bags and a basic waste management plan, they maintained sanitary living conditions throughout the crisis. The difference between regular trash bags and contractor bags is significant. Contractor bags are 3 to 4 mil thick, puncture-resistant, and can handle heavy, sharp, or wet materials without tearing. Regular kitchen trash bags rip immediately under those conditions. When you're dealing with emergency waste or rough materials, you need bags that won't fail. Pro tip: buy multiple sizes. 13-gallon bags for daily waste, 30-gallon for larger cleanup jobs, and 55-gallon contractor bags for emergency toilets and major waste management. Color code them if possible: black for waste, clear for storage and organization. Here's a sanitation system that works: 5-gallon bucket, contractor bag liner, some kitty litter or sawdust for odor control. That's a functional emergency toilet for under $15 total. Add a toilet seat lid designed for buckets, about $10, and you've got a surprisingly comfortable solution that maintains dignity during disasters. Here's the storage hack: keep bags in their original boxes in a dry location. Extreme heat can cause bags to stick together or degrade. And don't buy the cheapest options. Spend the extra couple dollars on quality contractor bags that won't tear when you need them most. And here's an organization tip: Use clear contractor bags to store and organize emergency supplies. You can see contents without opening them, they're water-resistant, and they're more durable than cardboard boxes for long-term storage. Bottom line, heavy-duty bags solve sanitation and storage problems that become critical during emergencies. They're cheap, versatile, and absolutely essential for maintaining hygiene when infrastructure fails. Don't overlook this unglamorous but vital survival essential. And finally, the last item on this list is something that could save you from making a catastrophic mistake. 9. The information arsenal. Printed survival guides and references. In the digital age, everyone assumes they'll have information access whenever they need it. Your phone has everything, right? Wrong. When the grid fails, your devices die, and suddenly all that stored knowledge becomes inaccessible. That's why printed survival guides and reference materials are essential, and you can build a comprehensive library for under $30. Here's what people don't realize until it's too late. Battery banks run dry, charging becomes impossible, and suddenly you're facing survival challenges with zero reference materials. How do you purify water, treat a wound, identify edible plants, build a shelter? You thought you'd just Google it, but now Google doesn't exist. Printed guides don't need power. They don't need internet. They work in any condition, and they provide step-by-step instructions exactly when you need them most. For $20 to $30, you can buy comprehensive survival manuals, first aid guides, edible plant identification books, and basic repair references that cover 90% of emergency situations.
Here's the critical insight. Knowledge gaps kill people in emergencies. You might think you know first aid, but when someone's bleeding badly and you're panicking, having a printed guide with clear instructions could save their life. You might think you can improvise shelter, but a reference book shows you techniques that actually work and keep you warm. The best survival guides cover multiple topics: water procurement and purification, fire starting techniques, shelter building, first aid, food preservation, navigation, signaling for rescue, and basic repairs. Look for military survival manuals or comprehensive prepper guides with high ratings and detailed illustrations. But here's what makes printed materials especially valuable. They become teaching tools. In an extended crisis, you can share knowledge with others, train family members, and reference specific techniques without draining precious power resources. Books create community resilience in ways that locked phones never could. Pro tip: store guides in waterproof bags or containers. Keep one set in your home, another in your vehicle, and a compact reference in your bug-out bag. And here's the key: read them before you need them. Familiarity with content means you know where to find information quickly when seconds matter. Here's another angle: print important documents and information. Medical records, contacts, maps of your area, important account numbers. When digital access fails, having physical copies could be critical for evacuation, medical treatment, or accessing resources. And here's what preppers with experience know: supplement commercial guides with personalized notebooks. Document your own procedures, local resources, contact information, and lessons learned. Create custom references specific to your situation, location, and needs. Bottom line: printed information is survival insurance that costs almost nothing but provides immeasurable value when technology fails. Don't assume you'll have digital access during emergencies. Build a physical knowledge library now, and you'll have the information you need exactly when you need it most. Bonus 1: the power insurance. Portable battery banks and solar chargers. We live in a world that runs on rechargeable devices, but when the grid fails, those devices become expensive paperweights within 24 hours. That's why portable battery banks with solar charging capability are essential survival tools. For $18 to $30, you can get a high-capacity power bank with built-in solar panels that keeps your critical devices running when conventional power is gone. Here's why this matters more than people realize. Communication devices, medical equipment, lights, radios, these all require power.
A quality 20,000 to 30,000 milliamp hour battery bank can fully charge a smartphone 4 to 6 times. Add solar charging capability and you have renewable power that works indefinitely. Think about the applications. You need to contact emergency services. You need to access important information. You need to power a radio to monitor conditions. You need to run critical medical devices. A dead phone means you're cut off and vulnerable. A charged phone with backup power means you stay connected and informed. But here's the strategy most people miss. Solar power banks with built-in panels charge slowly. They're backup solutions, not primary charging methods. The smart move is pairing them with larger fold-out solar panels, available for $25 to $40, that charge power banks quickly. This creates a comprehensive power system for under $60 total. Pro tip: test your solar chargers monthly to ensure functionality. Solar panels degrade over time and need occasional cleaning. And don't wait for emergencies to learn charging times and capacity limits. Know your equipment's capabilities before you're depending on them. Here's the reality. Portable power becomes currency in extended outages. People will trade valuable supplies for phone charging. Having capacity to help others while maintaining your own power security makes you valuable and builds community connections that matter in crises. Bottom line, portable battery banks with solar capability give you power independence for critical devices. They're affordable, essential, and provide the communication and information access that could save lives during emergencies. Bonus 2. The fire insurance. Emergency candles and holders. We've talked about lighters and modern lighting, but there's something reliable about traditional candles. For under $15, you can buy a box of 100-hour emergency candles that provide light, heat, and psychological comfort when everything else fails. These aren't decorative candles. These are long-burning survival candles designed specifically for emergency use. Here's why candles still matter in the modern age. They require zero technology, no batteries, no charging, no mechanical parts.
Light a wick, and you have illumination for hours. In extended power outages, candles provide sustainable light that doesn't drain limited resources. But it's not just about light. Candles produce heat. In a small enclosed space, several candles can raise temperatures noticeably. They can't heat a whole house, but they can make a survival room significantly more comfortable during cold weather emergencies. Here's the safety reality. Candles are fire hazards if used carelessly. Always use proper holders, keep them away from flammables, and never leave them unattended. But used responsibly, they're incredibly valuable tools that provide light, heat, and morale-boosting atmosphere during dark times. Pro tip: buy unscented emergency candles with long burn times. Scented candles sound nice, but in confined spaces during emergencies, strong scents can cause headaches and nausea. Plain white emergency candles burn longer and cleaner. Here's a storage tip. Keep candles in a cool, dry place to prevent warping. Store them with matches or lighters so your fire-starting tools are together. And consider buying candle lanterns, around $8 to $12, that provide safety and wind protection for outdoor use. Bottom line, emergency candles are old-school technology that still works perfectly. They provide light, heat, and comfort without requiring batteries or fuel. For minimum cost, you get sustainable emergency lighting that lasts through extended crises. Bonus 3. The versatility champion, bungee cords and ratchet straps. When things start falling apart literally and figuratively, you need quick, strong ways to secure, tie, and hold things together. That's where bungee cords and ratchet straps become invaluable. For $12 to $20, you can get an assortment pack of various lengths that solve countless problems during emergencies. Here's why these matter. Securing tarps during storms, strapping gear to vehicles during evacuation, holding makeshift repairs in place, creating temporary storage solutions. bundling supplies for transport. The applications are endless, and having strong, reliable fastening tools means you can improvise solutions quickly. Think about evacuation scenarios. You need to load your vehicle fast with maximum supplies. Ratchet straps let you secure items on roof racks, in truck beds, or even create additional external storage. Bungee cords keep doors closed, hold gear in place, and create quick attachment points for anything you need to carry. But it's not just about transportation. In shelter situations, bungee cords help create privacy dividers, hold insulation in place, secure doors and windows, and improvise storage solutions. They're fast, reusable, and don't require tools or expertise to use effectively. Here's the quality factor. Cheap bungee cords snap. Their hooks bend or break. Invest in heavy-duty versions with metal hooks and thick rubber strands. For ratchet straps, get ones rated for at least 500 pounds. When you're depending on them during stressful situations, quality matters. Pro tip: organize bungees and straps by length and store